Let's start on Ajax, and certainly we were watching the highlights coming in last Thursday and seeing them going 2-0 down to Bodo Glimt. I know Bodo have caused a few shocks in Europe the last few years, but the question does come to your mind with Ajax, even in recent times, seeing what they did in the Champions League a few years ago, is it how the mighty have fallen?
Yeah, they suffered the last number of years, and I think if you dig deep into it, you will see reasons as to why. We're going to touch on that in a little bit. But for a team that are used to being the pin-up team in Holland, for them to fall as far as what they've done. At one point this year, they were in danger of relegation, and you could actually get pretty good odds on them going down. They've managed to pull themselves a little bit clear, but all is not rosy in that garden.
Do you think it's as much sort of off-the-field issues that have... I mean, they're obviously not producing maybe the talent that they traditionally have, but...
Yeah. For a team that's so big in that division, you know, they're going to be competing for the leagues. They might not necessarily win it, but they're going to be competing for the leagues and getting into the Champions League more often than not. But if the structures change behind and they take their eye off the ball, you know, and all of a sudden you miss one cycle. So you sell a load of players and then you bring a load of young kids in, develop them and sell them. That's their model, essentially. If you miss one of those cycles and you get it wrong, and I think if you dig a little bit deeper, the likes of Mark Overmars left recently, obviously Edwin van der Sar left recently, and both were sudden departures. They weren't planned for, and it looked like they didn't have a plan in place. And that middle management, I call it, if you get that wrong and you miss one of those cycles, you can get behind like Ajax have done. We've seen the middle management at Manchester United, how they've struggled with their signings and things. But if one crop coming through doesn't develop, then they find themselves in this situation. Now, I still don't think even missing a cycle, they should be as bad as what they are. But tough times ahead for them. Yeah,
they're trying to bounce back and get back somewhere where they were a couple of years ago. This is a kind of a graphic of Opta. They have club rankings over the years based on their performances in Europe and in domestic football. And, it kind of looks like a flat line in a hospital, after you've had a bit of a dodgy ticker. You can see up there, look at the years, and down below there when Erik ten Hag and his boys were in with Frankie de Jong and all them, 2018, 2019, they were in the top 10 ranked clubs in world football with their performances back then. Ten Hag obviously stayed another couple of years. They were back up then again a few seasons later. And look how they've plummeted down. They're now ranked 118th in Opta's rankings based on their recent results, based on what Damien is saying about worst start to their domestic season ever, knocked out of the Europa League group that they were in with Brighton. And I suppose maybe it just underlines how good that team of a few years ago were under Erik ten Hag, with the likes of de Jong, De Ligt and all those players. And when they sold them, they obviously didn't have the players to replace them.
Yeah, and they're all really top-class players. So if you lose them, you're going to obviously struggle a little bit. But I think Ajax have been that team for most teams around Europe, how to run a football club. You look at Ajax, you go, right, that's the ideal sort of system with their academy, with their whole structure. Then all of a sudden they stood still, and football just keeps going, keeps moving forward, and teams have overtaken them and they've quickly fallen behind. And it's a long way back. It's not an easy way to get back, but you know with the quality of the academy that they've got, the players that they've always produced, you would hope for their sake there's another batch not too far away that can push them back up into that, certainly into the Champions League challenging places in Dutch football.